Now, I absolutely love beef jerky. And if you do too and you want to see how to make it on, then feel free to watch this video. So, what you want to do is you want to get your steak. Now, any steak will do, but obviously the finer the steak. So if you get fillet steak, the better quality beef jerky you're gonna get. What you want to do is you want to slice your meat as thinly as you can get it, really, and cut off any fat. So there's a bit of fat there, so you want to be cutting that off. If you can get it finer than that, then all the better, but if you can't, it doesn't really matter, but just try and get as thin as you can get it. Okay, so now that you've got all your beef chimmins, what you want to do next, now this is obviously step 2, but you don't have to do step 2. So what you want to do is, and again, you don't have to do it, get all your beef chimmins and place them in a marinade. Now you can use any marinade. You can use barbecue sauce, but you can make your own marinade like I've made here. Or, like you say, if you want, you can just get the entire process. It's up to you. Some people use like salt or potassium nitrate as a marinade. Get it like nicely mixed in, really get it all coated. If you are going to marinate it, you want to leave it for at least 6 hours, let it soak in, but you do you. I'm going to leave this for about 12. Nicely coated. Like so. And again, any little fat chimmins, just there's a bit of meat on them. Yeah, any fat chimmins though, leave them. Just leave them to the side because it'll ruin your jerky. So once you then finish marinating, put some cling film over your bowl, put it in the fridge and leave it for at least 6 hours, but the longer the better really. But there's no need to leave it over 24 hours. Right, well now it's time to take that marinated meat out the fridge. I ideally get sharp hooks, but I don't have any. So I'll just have to make 2. Not that done. Okay, so you don't want a big roaring fire, you just want like little to no flames, lots of embers and lots of smoke, and you want to try and keep that consistent. It's very smoky because it's burning my eyes, so that's actually what you want. Not good for your eyes, but good for beef jerky. Oh, it's burning my eyes. Maybe better I stand on this side actually. Do not want that smoke in my eyes. Now again, you don't want this too close to the fire, because if it's very close to the fire, you'll just cook it, and that's defeating the purpose. You do want to heat it up, but not to cooking point. Just enough to dehydrate it. And give it a bit of that smoky flavour. And the flavour is all influenced by the wood that you use. with all them hung up. What you're better off doing now is trying to close off the airflow to try and like trap some of that smoke in. But also you want to try and starve the oxygen as well. So there's two purposes for this. A, to trap the smoke in and the heat in, and B, to sort of starve it of oxygen, because you don't want a big roaring fire again. The less oxygen, the less like combustion it's got, because oxygen is, well, primarily the fuel of fire. It's one of the main components of fire. So less oxygen, less flames, less heat, less cooking, and more just of a dehydration effect. That's perfect, that is absolutely perfect. But you can't, obviously, you want to try and, you don't need to leave it attended so much, but you want to do be in somewhat of an attendance to it, because you do need to keep your eye on it a bit. You can sort of have half an hour breaks. You can go and do whatever you want. You do need to keep an eye on it. Like, that's perfect, that. Obviously, I've got a hole there where I feed the fuel, and obviously it's a hole for oxygen as well to get through. I want to block that off a bit as well. Fire there, that's absolutely perfect. Just small, mostly embers. That's what you want. If you see any bigger fire than that, you need to mess about with it and put the fire out. No, I'll give it a bit more fuel. Keep it going for a bit. Again, there's about 2 foot, possibly a bit more, between the wood and the meat, so that's a good distance. It's not like a barbecue where it's not even a foot's difference. There's a much more bigger gap, which is needed in smoking. That's alright, that's fine. Like I say, you do want a little bit of an airflow, but you do want to restrict it quite a bit. So look at that, plenty of smoke getting through. That's just perfect, that's exactly what you want. Now you just leave it like this for a couple of hours. Patience is required for this. You are going to be waiting a good few hours for this one, like. But it's worth the wait, I assure you. You need to keep an eye on it. This will happen every now and then, and that's why I'm here with a trowel to put this out, to turn it back into embers, giving it a quick shuffle and disrupting the airflow to it, and just putting the flames out. So it's like that, a little flame there, but put it out, and that's what you want again, smoky embers. Now you can just leave that. Doesn't happen often, but it's just good to keep an eye on it in case that does happen. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, let's see how we got on now. nice and dry. That just tastes, that just tastes absolutely delicious. So that is exactly what you want. Now you'll know it's not been cooked. And the reason you know it's not been cooked is because it'll still be red. Now cooked meat, when it goes brown, because of the myoglobin content. So when meat gets cooked, it goes brown because it reacts with the myoglobin, but when it's been smoked or just dehydrated, it stays red. Not a bit bad, to be fair. Not a bit. To be honest. That tastes nice. So there we are, beef jerky. Oh my god, that tastes nice though.